Pride of Higara. This is Captain Soban of the fleet, Farron Shah. Looks like you could use a hand. Attention all Sobani, pick your targets and engage.
Hello everyone, this is Captain Soban. Welcome aboard to Starship and Normal Prize for another episode of Space Engineers, where we are continuing the Homeworld shipbuilding series and developing the Homeworld Total Conversion mod. Okay, so this one I'm not really going to be showing off a whole lot of stuff. It's mainly going to be a lot of talking, theorizing about what's going to happen with the mod. But I have gotten some things done that I can show off. First off, I don't know if you guys can really hear this because I kind of keep the game volume down a little bit, but I do have the Kushan thrusters working. They sound like they are from Homeworld, which is awesome. Let me show you guys real quick. So that's pretty awesome. There is a current glitch. I can hear it all the time. I'm not supposed to be able to hear them when they're idling, so I may have to turn the idle volume down a lot, but they are working and I am happy about that. It took a lot of troubleshooting to get work properly. And I also have this little excuse me, I have this little sound block up here. This is temporary. I was just using it to test some sounds I imported into the game. So let me go ahead and bring my cursor up so I can see things. If we go to our sound block, you guys will notice all these sounds are not supposed to be in at the moment. I was messing around with another mod. Where are they? Where is the Homeworld sound effects? There they are. So these are the two ones we're going to be using in our mod: low fuel and out of fuel. So if I play them, that's the sound that's going to happen when our fighters and corvettes get low on fuel, probably around 5 minutes of fuel left, because I'm going to make these ships work like they do in Homeworld 1, where they have a limited fuel supply, and when they get low, they have to dock with a mothership or support frigate or carrier or whatever and get refueled. And then if you run completely out of fuel, that sound will play, which will reduce your maximum speed to 10% of its value. So for a scout, that would be 100 meters per second. It will turn off the reactors and activate the batteries, which have enough power to run about a third of what the reactor can run. And it will disable your weapons, so you cannot use your weapons anymore. And yeah, you're basically a sitting duck, kind of like how you are in Homeworld 1, where literally all you can do is just move your ship at a very slow speed. So yeah, eventually, I don't have the scripts imported yet, but I'm gonna make a script that, you know, checks the reactor when it gets down to 5, or I think it's 20, like whatever equals to 5 minutes of fuel. It'll run the low on fuel, and then when it reaches 0, it does do the thing like I wanted to do or told you guys about. So those things are fun, and I also have this implemented, which took me a little bit, but if I hit this, our weapons sound like they're actually from Homeworld. Like that's the sound of the Kushan Scout when it fires. Now I was a little bit confused when I implemented it first of like how like rapid fire it is, so I might have to slow down the fire rate of these guns, but I think that's pretty much what it would sound like if Homeworld actually had the ability to have more than one sound out at the same time, because that game is old. There's definitely some differences between modern games and that game. So that's all the fun Homeworld stuff that I've been working on and I have imported. Next thing I kind of want to tell you about is the amount of fuel that we'll be using. So if we go over here to our reactor only has enough for about 100 kilograms of fuel. And from my experience, oh yeah, also one more thing, if you look over there in the right hand corner, it's a little bit off at the moment because I've been messing around with things, but once I get some of the stuff off, that should be around 19 kilograms. I had to increase the amount of weight all the components have to 6% of default values. Also, one more thing for the thrusters, to make them work as powerful as they were in Homeworld, I increased their strength by 3 times and also increased the power draw by 3 times to keep it balanced. So yeah, if I go to here, let's go find our program block. This has our speed limiter, and I need to make a I need to modify this so this activates every single time I start the server, so I don't have to do this every time. So now we're set to 1000 and we're at max speed. Takes like 2.5 seconds which is awesome. And now if we look down there at the bottom right, if I hit my thrusters, we have 30 minutes of thrust. So what I'm going to do is, for all the main ships, I'm going to be calculating them based off of flight time, not combat time. Because combat times, you'll be using your maneuvering thrusters, your main thrusters. So for the Scout, that's about, I think, 25 minutes of combat time, 30 minutes of flight time. And the low fuel is going to be based off of flight time. So it'll be about 4 minutes of combat time if you get low on fuel. So, cool. Cool. And you can idle here for like 16 days. If you really care too much about that. But anyways, so when it comes to how long ships are going to last with their fuel, for fighters, I'm going to make them 30 minutes. All of the fighters, they'll have 30 minutes of flight time before they run out of fuel and are pretty much sitting ducks. Corvettes are going to have a little bit more. They're going to have 45 minutes of flight time because they are more heavily armored. They probably have a better, more powerful reactor than the fighters, so they can last a little bit longer. Plus, they're more for defensive missions, which can usually last longer than fighter-based missions. And then micro ships, which will be the small little ships that that like drones can launch, and micro repair ships that'll be going around frigate class ships and above, or the little swarmer ships from the high frigates of Homeworld Cataclysm. They'll have about 15 minutes of flight time. They're a lot less because they're not really going to be moving much. The only ones that probably will be moving much are the swarmers, because they're, you know, more of advanced ship, where the drones will just come out of the ship and then guard the ship in a spear formation. So they're gonna have a really small amount of fuel. Plus, if your drones, plus I kind of figured if your drone frigates or whatnot are in combat for longer than 15 minutes, they're probably gonna die. There's a pretty good chance that you're not winning that battle. So it won't really matter if they have more fuel or not. And then the probes, which are known for only having enough fuel for one burn and then activating their sensors, will only have 5 minutes worth of fuel. So you can send them out to wherever they have to go, and then they'll deploy, and then they won't have fuel. They'll have fuel to sit there and gather sensor data, but they won't have fuel to move again. So you can only use them once. So I kind of figured that once you use them, they'll probably have a couple hours worth of fuel to gather sensor data, and then they'll die, and then probably by then you should be done with the mission. Having like 1 or 2 hours worth of sensor data should be enough to get everything done. And then for frigate class ships, we'll have 3 hours worth of fuel, and this is for combat frigates. So the ion cannon frigate, assault frigate, drone frigate, all those will have that amount of fuel. The support frigate will have an unlimited amount of fuel because it is designed to support the fleet. So it has to have a really large fuel capacity. So fighters like the Kushan fighter can dock into the ship and get refueled. I still haven't quite figured out how the frigates are going to get refueled. They probably will have to dock into the mothership, and then some sort of ship will have to fill it up. Or I might make some sort of small cargo ship that will go back and forth between the fleet, that it can dock in and get some fuel. Now, so next after that will be the super capital ships, which will have 5 hours of fuel. And then the carrier, mothership, and repair corvettes will all have unlimited amount of fuel because they're designed to support the fleet. They have to have fuel to do what they have to do, plus, you know, the corvette or the carrier and mothership will be making their fuel. Because how I want to do the fuel system, I think what I'm going to do is make it to where you could build fuel from the assembler lines and the and make it to where it costs like 1 RU for like 1,000 kilograms of fuel, like something like that. Like make it cost something, but nothing ridiculous. Because in the Homeworld universe, any type of fusion reactor that's bigger than a Corvette class will have unlimited amount of fuel. So I'm trying to implement that as a way as it's balanced for like space engineers, but not overpowered. And again, it'll be a lot of testing or whatnot for all the stuff to change. This is just a brainstorming thing. So that covers everything when it comes to fuel. Everything I can think up on top of my head and everything that my notes over here tell me. Now I do have notes for like how big the reactors are, because one thing I did kind of forget to tell you guys is I did increase the size of the reactor. Also, another thing, all this stuff over here is customized. Like the reactor, Kushan fighter reactor, that is customized. I made my own little customized reactor. It still looks exactly the same. Also, ignore those. That's an issue in my coding. I put too many S's on our thrusters. So now they're thrusters instead of thrusters. But yeah, if I go to... where is it? Reactor. A reactor now produces 250 megawatts of power. That used to be 100. And I did that so we only have 1 reactor instead of 2 for balancing purposes. And that ended up being a good balance between using your main thrusters and using your strafing thrusters. Because I don't want combat to be too easy where you don't have to worry about power at all. You still have to worry about what direction you're doing, because if you use 3 different directions, like forward, strafing left, and strafing up, you'll overload your reactor and it won't be able to respond properly. So you will have to use like 2 strafings, so up strafing, left strafing, or yeah, unless you're in, if you're really in combat, you can't just go straight like up and left strafing without hitting the, you know, thruster, the forward thruster. That will work fine. Also, one more thing I forgot to show you guys. I did actually complete the construction. There was only a handful of things that needed to be done, so I didn't think making a building montage video was worth it. So we'll continue going around. Oh. I might have to adjust that a little bit. It kind of looks weird. But I built this antenna over here. If you guys remember on the Kushan Scout, it had an antenna over here on the left side. So I built a small one. And I put nav beacons in front of it. You have a couple flashing red lights for a nav beacon. Pretty cool. But yeah, when it comes to building, the ship is pretty much done. The only thing left we have to do is give it a paint job. But construction is done. It's done like dinner. So I don't know if I should actually fix this. I think I was eventually planning to put something there, but I never did. Let's go ahead and fix that real quick. Direction are you? Oh. There we go. There we go. Okay. So that is now fixed. It looks a lot better. But yeah, so now when it comes to brainstorming, eventually the like once we get the paint job done with this, we're gonna work on the interceptor class ship, but more for brainstorming like how the economy is going to work in this game. My plan for the economy is I want to completely get rid of all of the things in Space Engineers, and what I want to do is just have the asteroids have one object, which would be asteroid chunk. And then what you would do is with your harvesters, you harvest the asteroid chunk. Once the harvester gets full, it will dock with the mothership or shipyard or whatever, you know, carrier, whatever it's going to dock into. Resource controller. Resource controller is going to be a little weird because I would have to do something special with that. Because how Homeworld works is once, you know, you get your money from your resource controller, it goes directly to the main ship. And I might have to figure out some sort of way to get the money from that is processed in the resource controller back to the mothership or carrier. But anyways, getting off subject. The way the economy is going to work is you will have asteroid chunks, which you'll harvest from the harvester. It'll dock in whatever it's going to dock into, and then the refinery will pick it up and refine that material into RUs. And then those RUs will be able to be used for building. Because what I'm going to do is have the assembly lines have all of their construction components be transferred over to RUs. So like a steel plate might require 0.1 RUs, construction kit might require like 0.15 RUs, whatever. And I'm going to try and balance it around to where this entire ship is only going to be like a little bit more expensive as it is in Homeworld 1. Now, Homeworld 1, the Kushan Scout ship costs 35 RUs. I'm going to probably try and keep that around 3 to 4 times more expensive. So probably like 120 is what is a goal I'm going to try to go for the Kushan Scout. And then the Interceptor costs 55, so my goal for the Interceptor is going to be around like 220. That way it's just easier to balance out. And so if you guys don't know how Homeworld works, in Homeworld the harvesters have a phased assimilator array. The phased assimilator array goes up to an asteroid or some sort of material like a dust cloud that is really loosely put together, and it breaks down those components to their most basic atomic particles, which then are converted into RUs. Then it'll take those resources back to the mothership. The mothership uses a phase assimilator array, which will take those basic subatomic particles and will convert it into any material it needs to build a ship. Whether it's the steel plates or the steel beams for the hull, the power plant to run the ship, the thrusters that move the ship, into any component you can possibly imagine that can be converted from basic atomic structure. Obviously in Space Engineers we can't do that, so my workaround is going to be the best we can do. Because I was thinking about putting the refineries built into the harvesters, but that wouldn't really make any sense. I'm going to make it to where things get refined really quickly anyways, so it doesn't really matter. Plus, if you lost that harvester, then getting those RUs back would be a pain in the butt, because we need some sort of way to retrieve those RUs instead of just breaking them down. Eventually I will have to figure that out, because Homeworld 2, you know, you can harvest the ship debris and you can harvest the ship debris and then refine the ship debris into RUs. Probably what I'll end up doing for that, and again this is just brainstorming, this will probably change in the future, but probably what I'll end up doing for that is make a special salvage ship that will allow you to or I might make a mod that allows you to break down the most basic like if I would get rid of this area right here, it would convert it in RUs like automatically for you. So as you break it apart, it'll be just converted into like maybe 0.02 RUs or something. That's probably what I'm going to end up doing. Is just make it to where all of these components break into RUs if you salvage them. That would make things a lot easier, actually. So I'm probably, give me a second, I'm gonna go ahead and add that to my notes. So yeah, my plan for that probably would be like, let's say a steel plate cost, I don't know, 0.1 RUs, and I'll make it to where if you salvage it, it'll be like 0.025 or like 0.005. Like I'll probably set to like 25% or something of its actual value. So if you salvage a ship that's worth 1,000 RUs, you'll get 250 back. So then, now the only other thing I kind of want to talk to you guys about is the how we were going to do ship construction. So if you guys know, in Space Engineers, we use a bunch of welders and whatnot to build ships. Well, in order to do that for a ship this size, that's going to require a lot of pistons and a lot of movement, and that's going to bog down the game big time, especially if you were like building from the mothership. I'm going to have at its max capacity would be able to build five fighters, 3 corvettes, 1 frigate, and 1 super capital ship all at the same time. That's going to bog down Space Engineers big time if you have all of those pistons moving and whatnot to weld on. So what I'm going to end up doing is I downloaded a mod that I've had for quite some time, and I don't think I actually put it on the server yet. But basically, it's a little device that's called Build and Repair, and it is capable of building and repairing ships. And what I'm going to end up doing is just have a area, kind of like Yeah. You get out of here. Oh, god dang it. Come on. Just go there. Have an area like this. It'll probably be bigger than this. But we'll have an area where you can actually build the ship. And then we'll have assembly lines like over here or something. And then attached to the build and repair bots. And what I'm going to end up doing is make a script once I figure out like all the components that is required to actually build the ship. I'm going to make a script that automatically calls all of those components and then sends it to all of the assembly lines, which will then build the components. And then once they're built, they'll send it to the little build drones, and the little build drones will start construction of the actual ship. We'll also need a projector so we can see exactly where the components are supposed to go. And then once the ship is built, it will automatically turn off those build and repair things, because we don't want the build and repair bots to build like a second ship over here. That's basically the plan, but I'm not really planning to implement that until we start getting all the way up to the carrier. It will be quite some time before I actually, you know, start getting the construction stuff going. But that's my plan when it comes to actually building the ships when we get to that point in the mod. But anyways, guys, I think that's everything I wanted to talk about. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoy the plans for the upcoming mod. In the next episode, I'm hoping to get those 2 scripts done that I told you guys about for the low fuel and out of fuel things. We can test that, and then after that I want to do a paint job of the ship. So that entire episode's going to probably be me painting the ship so it actually looks like it's from Homeworld. And then after that we'll start working on the Interceptor class. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please leave a like if you liked it. If you like what I do, consider subscribing, and I will see you guys in the next video. So until next time, guys. This is Captain Soban signing out.
The Baker have arrived. Emergency hyperspace procedures initiated. The mothership must survive.